Hey, I'm Ange.
And I'm Beck.
And we are the Gold Diggers, because we believe there's gold found in everyone.
Everyone is unique, interesting and exciting with a great story to share.
And we aim to find it.
The question is, can we rise to the challenge and strike gold? Stay tuned to find out as we chat to today's mystery guest.
Honey, you're my sugar.
So this is how it works. One of us knows our mystery guest and the other doesn't. And today it's Beck's turn to discover the gold in our special guest, Sarah Pye.
Hello. That's right.
Is that how we pronounce your surname?
It's not that difficult, 3 letters.
No, Pye. Everyone loves pie, don't
Yeah,
they?
that's it.
Well, welcome, Sarah. So good to have you.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Welcome, Sarah.
Thank
Nice
you.
to
Lovely
meet
to be
you.
here.
Yeah.
So Sarah is the mother of one
Yes.
23-year-old daughter.
Yes, I do have a 23-year-old
Yeah.
daughter.
And that's all I'm giving you, Beck. Can you go to head out the room?
Wow,
And I'll
okay.
introduce our guest.
See you later.
So I'm so excited to have you here, Sarah, because what you might not know is Beck is actually a publisher and you are a writer.
That's correct. I know. And I was actually aware that she's a publisher, and it's really cool, that connection.
Yes, and she's actually thinking of going into children's books, which is what
she?
you
Yeah.
right. You're the author of 6 children's books.
6 children's books and 1 adult biography. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's based around it's non-fiction, isn't it? It's based around a person you know.
Yeah, they're all non-fiction narratives about a man that I work with in Borneo called
Yes.
Dr Wong, or Wildlife Wong for short.
Yes, and I love that because you met him and you said it changed your life.
It
You
did,
wrote his
yeah.
biography,
Yeah.
and you're passionate about conservation. You're passionate about the environment.
I am
So
very
you've-
much so. My life changed completely once I'd met him.
Yeah, and so
Yeah.
you've taken his story and
Yeah.
you've converted it into a children's book.
Yeah.
And now you go around lots of schools, universities, and you teach and you also share about your book.
I do.
But you have a bit
yeah.
of a sidekick, don't you? that
I
you
do
take
have a
with you?
sidekick.
Well, we'll get to meet your sidekick Pongo a bit later.
Sounds good.
But you're also a doctor of creative arts.
I am. So when I met Dr. Wong in 2012, I was captivated by what he was doing. His commitment basically to saving a species from extinction. And I asked him what I could do to help. And he came back with 5 super powerful words. He said to me, "Do what you do best."
Oh, beautiful.
So those 5 words have sort of changed the trajectory of my life
And
so
hopefully
far.
we'll get into that with Beck because I think that's going to be fascinating.
Yeah.
But you are like such an adventurous person because I know
Yes,
you grew up
I
in
am.
England, you're a fellow Pom,
Yes.
but you spent much of your life on a boat, didn't you?
I did, yeah. I spent a lot of my life on a boat. I moved onto a boat with my parents and my brother when I was 13.
And you've sailed
Yeah.
across the
And
Pacific
sailed,
Ocean.
actually the Atlantic, but close
Oh,
enough.
Atlantic.
Same thing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
actually
yeah.
Pacific's quite a
It's a
dangerous
long-
sea, isn't it?
Yeah, it's quite a lot larger.
Yeah.
So stick to
And
the
you
small
did that
one.
at 15.
I did. Sailed across the Atlantic at 15.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
you've got your commercial.
My commercial
Captain's
captain's license. Yeah, I
license?
got that before I could drive a car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing.
And drove boats for quite some time.
Yeah, so you're
yeah.
obviously very passionate about adventure, the
Yeah,
environment,
I
and I
am.
love how you have turned what you're passionate about, and you're actually now turned it into not just an occupation, but one where you're educating the next generation that really are going to be custodians.
I think that's
of our
important,
environment.
isn't it? As you get older, you realise that you have to give back a bit,
Yeah,
and so I'm doing that now.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
beautiful, and I
Yeah.
love that. And so that to me is your gold, is the fact that you've turned something that you're really passionate about, and you've turned it into an education for the next generation.
Thank
I think
you.
that's real gold.
Thank you.
So we'll bring Beck back in and
Okay.
see. I'm so looking forward to this. I'm really looking forward to this one because I think you're going to have fun
Yes.
finding
Me
all
too.
out about Sarah.
I'm so excited to talk to Sarah because, like, as we've said before, while we're waiting to do the interview, I can't really ask Sarah.
I know.
anything. So we just look at each other like.
You've turned up today in a very bright, colourful top.
I have. I've turned up in what I actually wear when I'm out in the environment doing school visits and things. So this is what I tend to wear.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's go
Yeah.
there. So, why do you do
I threw you a bone
school?
there.
Yeah, there's a bit of a bonus for you.
Tell me about these school visits to do with the environment.
My goal is really to educate kids about environmental issues. I realise that if the next generation doesn't understand sustainability and environmental issues, then it could be our species that gets extinct next. So my goal is to really educate kids and connect them through narratives, through storytelling, and through all sorts of other things.
Lovely. That sounds like there's more to this story.
Yeah, there
so
is.
obviously
There
you
is.
have a great love for nature.
I do.
Where did that
really do.
originate from?
I've always had a love for nature. When I was a child growing up in England, I used to, during the winter, we used to do family walks across natural areas. We just go and have a walk in the morning, and my mum used to put a casserole in the oven, and by the time we got home there'd be this wafting smell of casserole after you've been wet and cold in the English environment. And I absolutely adored that.
I hated stew days.
They
They were not my favourite.
Did you two live in similar areas in England?
Actually, not too far
not
away.
too far away from each other, no.
Oh, right.
And then when I became 13, my parents decided they'd had enough of the English school system. They were both teachers.
Yeah.
And they decided to take us out of school.
Right.
So I didn't go to school from the age of 13
Yeah.
onwards until
Did
I
you
got to
homeschool
higher
during
education.
that time?
Yeah, my parents were teachers, so they homeschooled us,
Right,
but
yeah.
we weren't homeschooled, we were boat schooled.
Right.
Yeah.
So you lived on a boat for a while.
Yeah, for 8 years. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So tell me what that looked like.
Oh, it was amazing. It was amazing. Had its ups and downs.
Was it like a houseboat?
Yeah.
Ups and downs to go over the
Yeah,
waves.
literally.
Wavy
Yeah.
oceans. So was it a houseboat?
No, it was a sailing, 32-foot sailing ketch.
Right.
So we moved on to that we lived in the Isle of Wight then, and we moved on the boat. Left England on April Fool's Day in 1979.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
And that day actually snowed, believe it or not.
Oh, wow.
So we left there and we sailed down the coast of Europe to the Mediterranean.
Yeah.
Spent about a year and a half there. And then sailed across the Atlantic when I was 15.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I'd be hopeless doing that. I'd get seasick.
Me too, believe it or not.
How is that? There must be times where you just haven't
Yeah.
seen another boat for days.
Yeah, absolutely.
That must be
Yeah.
there must be a lot of frightening moments in that.
There were a few frightening moments. There were some storms and things that were quite extreme.
Yeah.
But you don't have a choice. You're in there and you've got to adapt.
So
don't you?
what did you spend most of your time doing on the boat?
A lot of reading.
Nice.
Yeah.
I enjoy reading.
Yeah, like it took
And
us
puking.
It took us 27 days. The actual Atlantic took 27 days at sea, and I think I read 15 books in 27 days. It's a lot of reading. I held a night watch every night, and my brother did too. So we were in charge of the boat while our parents slept at various times. You do a lot of writing. My parents both being English teachers, we used to have to write a diary every day and draw. And my brother was a musician. He's a guitar player, so he'd write a lot of music, and we'd sing a lot. And
Lovely.
yeah, so we got a connection on the music there.
Yeah, you've got a lot of fun memories.
Yeah.
Really, as a family, you must have really come together.
Absolutely. We became a team more than it wasn't really a parent-child relationship. It was more a team relationship. Yeah, and you had to get things done.
And your parents had a boating history at all?
Yeah. My dad
okay.
taught sailing at the National Sailing Centre before we left, so that was his role. And he was teaching sailing.
Yeah.
Journal writing is such a good thing to do. Like, if
Isn't
you go
it?
back now and read those journals.
Yeah.
you
I've
probably
got them.
just-
They're probably my prized possessions, because
Yeah,
one day I'll do something more creative with them, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that sounds
Yeah.
great. Okay, so you were on this boat for 8 years.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, so I left the boat and went to the university in the US, from there while leaving my parents in the Caribbean.
Right.
And then came back after I'd finished, halfway through uni, I sort of dropped out and came back to the Caribbean. And by that time I was a commercial boat captain, so I drove boats for a while.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
So what did you study at university?
Initially it was a liberal arts sort of a thing.
Yeah.
I went back after a while and I did hospitality management and had a degree in hospitality management and tourism.
Yeah.
So I've spent a lot of time in tourism since then. 35 years or so working in tourism.
Right.
But I've had a bit of a change of careers recently.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, let's go back to tourism.
Yeah.
Were there specific areas that you worked in?
Boat tours.
Yes.
I created and built a boat company in the Whitsundays when I immigrated to Australia,
Yes.
which was awarded the best adventure product in Queensland
Right.
in 20.
How long have you been in
2001.
Australia?
Since 94.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
What's that adventure company called?
Ocean rafting.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I've heard of that.
Have you?
Yes, I
yeah,
think
it's
I've
still
been on
still
one of their
going really,
tours.
really good. You might have been on them. Yeah,
I
the
think so.
big yellow inflatable
Yeah,
boats.
fast
Have you?
boats.
Yeah,
I
that's
have
the one.
actually been on that.
Awesome.
I love them. They're such fun.
Oh, well done.
Good review.
So I used to drive one, and my then husband drove the other one.
Right. Okay.
When we designed the tours.
I always pick ocean rafting.
Oh, how awesome! That's good.
From Airlie Beach.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There you go.
yeah.
Done
So
it.
I was in Airlie for 8 years,
Amazing.
and my daughter was born there in Proserpine Hospital.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I came down here. My marriage didn't last, and we tried to move to save it, and we ended up on the Sunshine Coast. Unfortunately, it didn't quite work, but I ended
So
up
you've been
being here.
raising your daughter, haven't you?
I have.
From what age
From
was she?
3. Yeah, we
wow.
separated when she was 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So for 20
yeah.
years.
Yeah, she's an amazing human.
Oh,
She's
beautiful.
absolutely amazing human.
Yeah.
She's actually in the UK at the moment working in an outdoor camp. She's an instructor in an outdoor camp.
Wow.
Following the
amazing.
footsteps of her mother in
Yeah,
ways.
she's adventurous. She's a bit of a
Yeah.
traveller.
So where did that take you then, from going from the rafting?
From there, I came here and I worked on the Sunshine Coast and in a number of different facets. I currently still teach at the University of the Sunshine Coast in tourism.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, but that's a part-time gig, and I've got another interest that began really in 2012.
Right.
Yeah, so I've
Okay.
taken a little bit of a tiny trajectory in a different direction.
I feel like we're going there now. Can you
You
tell
feel
me
like
about
that
this?
one?
Yeah. Let's look into this.
Yeah,
Let's get into it,
yeah,
Sarah.
this is it. We're getting there. So in 2012, my daughter and I went to Borneo. We wanted ostensibly to see orangutans in the wild before they became extinct.
Yeah.
And while we were there, an interesting thing happened. We loved seeing orangutans. It was really good, but it wasn't this Jane Goodall moment I had hoped for. And we went back to our accommodation and told the people there. I was a journalist then, and I was editor of Kids on the Coast magazine.
Oh, right.
And this, the woman at the reception said, "You need to talk to Dr. Wong." So she scribbled his number on a little piece of paper and tore off the corner and gave it to me. So I put on my journalistic voice and I picked up the phone and I talked to this man, Dr. Wong, who then invited us to the Bornean Sun Bear Conservation Centre, which wasn't open to the public yet. So the next day we're standing there on this observation platform. We're watching sun bears. They're just 50 meters in the air. They're climbing in these trees. They're swinging from vines. They're amazing creatures. And I
What
just
are they called? Sun bears.
sun bears. Yeah.
I don't think I've ever heard
No,
of
Like
that.
drop
most people
bears.
haven't.
Yeah,
So
right.
there's actually 8 different bear species in the world.
Okay.
And they're the smallest. So they're about the size of a 10-year-old.
Oh,
Yeah.
what colour are
about
they?
twice as heavy as a 10-year-old human,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
they're the same size.
I'm
Yeah.
imagining yellow because sun. Are
They're
they?
black.
Are they?
They're completely black, but they
Yeah.
have a mark on their chest which looks like an
Yeah.
eclipse.
Oh, right.
So they're called a sun bear partly because of that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and partly because they live in tropical environments. Yeah.
Wow.
But they're critically endangered, and Wong has spent his life trying to stop them from becoming extinct. So I was captivated by him. He's incredible human. He'd spent 6 years in the jungle studying sun bears. He knows more about them than anyone on earth. And he also then created this rescue centre for sun bears where bears who've lost their mums from poaching or habitat loss are rescued, and he teaches them to be real bears. He teaches them to climb. He teaches them to dig for food. With a team of 25 people.
Wow.
And then eventually he hopes to release them back into the wild.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So that sort of set me on a trajectory, because he said to me, when I asked him what I could do to help, he said, do what you do best. So,
So
that's a very, very important phrase, and I use that when I take my concepts into schools now to try and engage kids in environmental issues.
Yeah, do what you do best.
Yeah,
That's
so it
good
took me a while to
advice.
figure that out.
Yes, and what do you do best?
I knew that was going to be the next question. That was a good lead-in.
Well, the first thing I did best was introduce him to the University of the Sunshine Coast.
Yes.
That led to a number of research projects.
Right.
We have students at the university who have created all the interpretive signage at the Sun Bear Centre.
Yeah.
A number have done research with him. Some have volunteered in the centre and looked after bears. In 2014, I led a team of public relations students, and we created an adoption program for sun bears, which became really important during COVID, because the centre was closed to the public, and they had very little money coming in except for adoptions to be able to actually feed bears. And they had 40 bears.
Wow.
Yeah. So that became really important then. And then the big change happened in 2016, because I asked Wong what he would think about me writing his story.
Right.
So yes.
So you
Yeah.
wrote his book.
I did. I wrote his biography as part of my Doctor of Creative Arts degree.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So in a Doctor of Creative Arts degree, you write a creative work and an exegesis that explains, the research around your work.
Yeah.
So it's Dr. Sarah.
Dr.
Yeah,
Sarah.
there you go. I'm a Dr. Sarah. Yeah.
We're going more
So I
formal.
did that. But then when I
Amazing.
finished writing that, and it was published in 2020, and I was really excited by that. But I realized that if I didn't engage kids in conservation, then we're stuffed.
Yeah.
So that became the next impetus. And I asked Wong again if I could tell his stories for kids. So yes, now last week I actually launched my 6th kids book.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
I knew your face would light up at that.
I love books.
and me too.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's great.
So each one, they're kind of unique. So they each tell a story about Wong, a non-fiction narrative about him with a different species.
Yes.
So the first one was Wildlife Wong and the sun bear.
Yeah.
The last one is Wildlife Wong and the Sumatran rhino.
Yeah. I
And
love
they're
that
all about his
alliteration, Wildlife
adventures.
Wong.
Yeah.
And they're all endangered species, are they?
The majority of them are.
Yeah.
There's 2 that are not in the 6, but the rest are all endangered.
Yeah.
They the narratives tells the story about him and his adventures with that creature, and then I've got cool animal facts about the animal, and I also incorporate experiments in my book. So I want to connect kids through kinetic activity. They actually not everyone's a reader, as we know. So some kids really need a hands-on something that connects to the narrative.
And
So
how do you
each
do
book-
that? What are some examples?
Yeah, they've got some really good ones. In Wildlife Wong and the orangutan, one of the experiments is, can you build an orangutan nest?
Right.
So we get kids in school. I get them a pile of the gardener's waste, and we try and build nests.
Amazing.
Or in Wildlife Wong and the fig wasp, I've got one where we actually build a terrarium or a mini rainforest in a jar that then they can take home, and it shows them how a rainforest actually works.
Yes.
Because a rainforest it's very cool. You put a spoonful of water in your terrarium, and you never ever have to open it again, because a plant breathes in carbon dioxide, breathes out oxygen, and water comes out with the oxygen, and it reaches the top of that jar, and it runs down the edge. It comes down to the bottom, and it's sucked back up in that plant. So it's this constant experiment that shows how rainforest works.
What
Wow.
great
Yeah.
educational tools
Yeah,
you've
things like
provided.
that.
Yeah. So do you travel around to different primary schools
do,
taking
yeah.
this with
I
you
do.
and doing
I do.
experiments?
So I've
and
developed
things?
about 10 different workshops that can be used in schools, and they're all for different ages, ranging from preschool up to high school.
Yeah.
And they all obviously do a different sort of engagement with those narratives.
Yeah.
And some of them I read books, some of them we get the kids to act out the books.
Yes.
So we can act out books using puppetry. So that's where I sort of engage my menagerie of creatures in these workshops.
Oh, that's
amazing.
You happen to bring one of your sidekicks along with you
I
today,
have.
didn't you?
I did.
Yes.
I bought 2 along. I even
did you?
I bought Pongo, my orangutan, and Luna, my sun bear.
I just thought you had a wig in your bag. I was going to ask, but I thought I can't ask. But now I
So
can.
yeah, what I found is I would sit there and I'd be reading books, and the little kids would be engaged, and they'd say, "Can I see the pictures? Can I see the pictures?" You know, and you're constantly turning your book around and showing them pictures, and I realised I needed something else, you know, to engage. So, a wonderful woman called Rebecca Dorsal, who's a puppeteer in Mullaney, taught me some of her puppeteering skills.
Right.
So you do the whole ventriloquism?
Yeah, well, I'm not that great at it, but you know,
Distract
I'm
the
doing
kids
my
and they won't
best
see your mouth
anyway.
move.
I think we need a demonstration.
Can we have a look?
You want to have a demonstration?
Yeah, let's have a look.
So
Because
I
we
would
are
encourage
on
you,
YouTube.
if you are joining us today, to check this out on YouTube.
Yes.
So for our YouTube audience,
Okay.
So
Maybe
we're
off
having
to
a
this camera over
visual
here.
demonstration. So Dr. Sarah has just pulled out of her bag an orangutan. And
She's
it's
a
a
little bit
puppet.
shy sometimes, aren't you? Hey?
It's pulling some very cute faces at the moment.
amazing.
Oh my goodness.
Hi. So
My
lifelike.
name's Pongo.
I can totally see little kids just lapping that up.
They would love it.
Oh, they love it. And they love learning. This is Pongo comes from a company called Folkmanis Puppets in America, and they actually gave me supported my work by giving me some really awesome deals on puppets, which is really good.
So weird. It looks so real.
Pongo
right?
comes from Sepalok, don't you? Yeah. I'm an orphan.
I feel like I'm going back to grade 5,
I
sitting
know,
on the
isn't it
floor and
great?
watching a puppet show.
This is amazing, though. Like, you're really good at this. So,
yeah.
Thank you.
so you actually went and studied puppetry, or you got it
I'm
from
learning.
this?
I'm learning. I'm still
Wow.
learning, aren't I? Yeah, you're not bad.
Say nothing.
Yeah, so she helps me, as you can imagine.
great,
And I can do like a whole hour workshop with kids, and they'll come up to me afterwards and say, "Is she real?"
Oh, wow.
And you think you're doing a good
Yeah.
job at it when that happens, isn't
Yes.
it? Yeah, I like it.
And
You
so
are
what-
very good at this.
And so
Thank
what is
you.
your hope for the kids that they'll get from
Yeah.
this?
I really want them to engage in environmental issues, things like conservation and habitat loss, and know what they are.
Yeah.
And then I try to take these ideas in Borneo, there's some, these concepts in Borneo, and then relate them to our local environment for kids. So once they've engaged with these like megafauna, like you, yeah, like me. Once they've done that, then I tend to bring the subject back home, you know.
Yes.
I don't know if you know, but on the Sunshine Coast Council's website, they list 192 threatened species on the Sunshine Coast.
Amazing.
So once the kids know that, and I say to them, well, which one are you willing to live without?
yeah.
They start brainstorming. Then we use that term of, well, do what you do best, and we start brainstorming ways that they can actually make a difference, you know.
Yeah, that's
And
right.
hopefully some of them will.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And
That's the
even
guide,
just
yeah.
Teaching children to care for animals. Children with pets obviously learn that, don't
They
they?
do,
And then to
absolutely.
extend it out to our wildlife.
Yeah.
Because it is so precious, isn't
Yeah.
it? We've got a beautiful botanic gardens in Maroochydore.
Oh,
that
don't
are-
we?
Yeah,
It's
we do.
lovely.
It's lovely. And they're
Yeah.
doing a great job of bringing
Yeah.
awareness as well. So it is such a great thing that you're doing.
Yeah, thank
Yeah.
you. So yeah, that's Pongo.
Oh,
How did
nice to
you?
meet you,
Oh,
Paula.
how did you go for then from writing a biography into children's books? What was?
It's an interesting journey, isn't
Yeah.
it? Because partly it's I've got another side business. I'm rather like you, Beck. I've got many different hats. So I actually tutor kids after school.
Yeah.
I've been tutoring kids after school for about 5 years. So I feel like I know ways to connect with kids because I know what they're doing in school. I know what they're interested in, and connecting to them and trying to get them to enjoy books, words, maths, whatever it is.
Yeah.
I've had to find ways to do that. So that helped me then integrate some of those big issues that I've written about in Saving Sun Bears, the biography. And then, not dumb it down. You don't want to dumb it down. You want to just change the language. And the one thing I've done in the books that I'm really pleased with, because kids have enjoyed this, is if there's a new word, then I bold it. I've got a glossary of terms at the back that they can refer to, but then I also usually explain each of those words so that they don't lose the momentum of the book while they're reading. They sort of have an explanation and then they can keep going.
That's great.
Yeah.
I love that.
And just to make sure that my books reach their audience before I actually publish, I send the manuscript out to 3 young people and get their feedback, because they're my experts, right? So they're my young reviewers, and each of their reviews is actually published at the front of the book. So
That's
awesome.
Yeah.
And it's actually was shortlisted, wasn't it, for the Australian publishing, educational publishing?
It was, absolutely. My series, the first 5 in the series, was shortlisted for an Australian Educational Publishing Award, in 2022. So I'm really excited by that. And I'm a self-published author, or I have my own little micro publishing company too. So that really feels good when you get acknowledged for your work, doesn't it?
Well, you were also the 2015 Sunshine Coast Businesswoman's
2010.
Award
Bit
2010.
before that, but that was
nearly got it right.
Yeah, that was for a book that I published in 2009, which was a guidebook about traveling with children around Australia. So it's a little bit of a totally different, another trajectory, really. I've been nominated for one this year, so I'm so excited.
Oh, great.
Really, really excited.
And is that for your latest book?
That's for my series of kids books, I believe.
At the Sunshine Coast Businesswoman's.
For the Sunshine Coast Businesswoman's,
Beautiful.
Yeah, so fingers crossed on that one.
Yeah.
They've got, since I was honoured with the last one, they've actually included a Sustainable Businesswoman Award. So I'm like, that would be great.
Yeah, beautiful.
So
We wish you all the best with that.
Thank you.
Yes. Well, are we ready for some gold?
Well, yes,
have
I think
more?
we are. There are a few more things that.
Should we do some more digging?
But no, I can reveal them at the end. Like, just let's go to the gold.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I can see that you carry so much joy with you and so much enthusiasm for what you do, which I love. And that is communicated through you. And I can imagine that's communicated onto the children, which is making your work so effective. And you obviously have a great love for family, for children and teaching. What a remarkable adventure your life has been.
It has.
And then to turn
I'm very,
that
very lucky, aren't I?
Yeah, that's right. And to meet the people that you have, and then to, I guess, almost be mentored by, what was his name?
By Dr. Wong.
Dr. Wong, and then to turn his story into stories for others. It's amazing. So I love the love that you have for creation and animals
thank you.
and nature and everything, and that you're passing that on to the next generation to also treasure and take care of, which is awesome. So
thank
I
you.
think
Thanks,
you're just going to keep going from strength to strength.
Yeah,
and,
definitely.
I think your best years are ahead of you. So
thank
keep
you.
going.
Goodness me, I hope so.
Yeah, I just love the fact, like, you obviously had a taste of adventure as a child.
Yeah.
And it's just continued for you. I know.
I think what it did is give me a different perspective on the world, and a lack of fear.
Yeah,
which is quite useful.
And you've needed to have that really to maybe go to some of these places and I know sail the Atlantic.
Yes.
At 15. I mean, that is really courageous, even for most adults, to do that.
Yeah, it's always great love and care for the animals. Like, they do need looking after, don't they?
Yeah, you do, don't you, Ponga?
And I know that you've walked 800 kilometres across Spain. So that's one of the other things.
Yes,
wow.
Walking is my other passion. Yeah, absolutely.
Wow,
I actually help run the Sunshine Coast Camino walking group.
Great.
And in 2018, I walked across Spain.
Yeah, amazing. That would have been so interesting.
Oh, it's fabulous. You know that absolutely, because I'm an outdoor person and I love environment, just to be outside walking for 8 hours a day is, what a privilege, you know.
Yeah.
Not in an office, not in front of a computer. It was just glorious.
You would have met so many interesting people and seen so many different towns and cultures.
Yeah, I recommend that to anyone.
Yeah.
Wow.
I just love the fact that you got a taste of adventure as a young person and then you turned your passion for the environment and you got educated about it. I love the fact as well, you mentioned that you dropped out of university, but now you've got a doctorate.
Yeah,
so you obviously
absolutely.
stepped back into it again.
Yeah, and I've got a doctorate, but I didn't go to high school.
Yeah,
Amazing. Yes. Now
We
there's
hear
a
that.
point.
We hear that so often.
There's a good
Yeah,
point.
yeah.
I love that. And you've turned what you're passionate about into actually a whole system of education, which is
Yeah.
being awarded and really helping the next generation. And so I love the fact that you are changing the world through the next generation.
Really
Thank
comes
you.
back down to where you say do what you do best.
Yes.
And even though you didn't go to high school, you did what you did best and it excelled because that's your passion and your purpose in your life. So then
I think
being
that's the
rewarded
message for
for
everyone,
that.
isn't it?
It
You know,
is,
because
yeah.
everyone's good at different things.
that's
Yeah.
it. And to
Yeah.
find that
Yeah.
as soon as
Yeah.
possible gives you more years to put into
Yeah.
your purpose.
You can
and
even find
passion.
it. Well, 2012, I was, what was I, 50 something? Yeah, or nearly 50. So, yeah, you can even find it when you're nearly 50.
Well, you look fantastic for your age.
Yes, you do.
If that was
so do you, Pogo.
2012.
Oh, thank you.
Well, thank you so much for joining us, Sarah. It's a fascinating story.
Such a
Thank you.
pleasure.
It's an absolute pleasure, and thank you so much for inviting me.
And is there any way that people can connect with you or invite you if they want you in their school?
Oh, I would love for people to connect with me for every single way that they can think of.
Yeah.
My website's probably the best. It's sarahrpye.com.
Okay.
Yeah, and they can connect through me, social media, but all the links are on the website, so that's the easiest place to go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Sarah.
Thank you.
Honey, you're my sugar.
So, what do you think? We had 2 guests in the studio today.
Yes, and what an adventurous life that Dr. Sarah has had.
I know. I can't imagine crossing the Atlantic Ocean
Oh.
at age 15. I mean, you're with your parents, but like
Confined spaces, rocky waters. I'd be vomiting all the way.
going through the storms. That to me, like you're going through a storm, but you're completely alone. Like
Yeah.
I've watched those movies. They're basically horror movies.
Yeah.
Where about like the perfect storm.
Yeah.
You know, it's such a courageous thing to do, and that's obviously set her on her pathway. Really,
Yeah, it's
for
a real
life.
connection with nature and
Yeah.
wildlife and the ocean. Like, that would have been amazing. Like, as I said, I can never do it, but for her, it would be definitely a moment in her life she'll never forget.
yeah. Well, she talks about meeting Dr. Wong was a moment that she never forgot. It's almost there are those moments in life, aren't they, where you meet somebody or something happens and it suddenly connects with whatever your destiny or your future is, and that clearly meeting him and hearing about what he does with the orangutans changed her life.
Yes, and I love the sparkle in her eye. Like, she loves what she does, and just her little quote of "do what you do best."
Yeah.
And that has obviously driven her passion and her love for what she does, and she's got a lot of life in her.
Yeah. I do think nature speaks to us, definitely.
Yes.
I know I've spoken here before about having an encounter with a whale in the middle of the ocean, a minke whale, and it really did something. It impacted me and
Yeah.
changed my life in that moment. And
Yeah.
I think we don't appreciate enough how important nature is to us as humans, and how we actually need to preserve nature and preserve species.
I agree. And like, I had an encounter with a snake once, and I've never run so fast in my life.
See, you're healthy already, Beck.
If anything's going to spare me to run, it'll be a snake. But then it's like, get that snake out of my chicken pen.
Yes, there are 2 sides to nature.
There's some that we love, some that can just like go and live by themselves.
And didn't we love Pogo?
Yes. Oh, she's very good with the puppets, isn't she?
I know, like really lifelike.
Yeah.
He looked like he's had a whole character and everything.
It's incredible how they made it with such a cute expression.
I
Like,
know.
It's like, is he real? It's so messing with my brain right now.
Yeah. All right, so we did this whole thing on social media. If you check out our socials this week, where we actually tried our hand at ventriloquism. Can't say the word.
Ventriloquism.
But Beck, you
Yes.
like found it really weird. You went all awkward. What was
It's
going
so
on?
weird because like, what's the puppet's name?
Pogo.
Pogo wanted to give me a hug, and I'm just like, this is really weird. I'm hugging her hand with a mop on it. I don't know.
Well, I gave it a go, and I felt that I've forgotten the name of the other one, the bear she gave me.
Sun bear, yeah.
Yeah, that he should have had a man's voice.
Yeah.
I was thinking Morgan Freeman. He needed a Morgan Freeman's voice. Yeah. I can't do that without opening my mouth. I can't do it with it opening my mouth.
You tried well, though. It was good. It's better than my attempt.
So go and check out our socials and you'll see us giving this a go. So that's it for today's podcast. You'll find us on all the major podcast platforms. The podcasts come out every Wednesday. We'd love to hear from you on our socials, the Gold Diggers Podcast. Tell us about your story so we can find the gold in you.
Easy as pie, lemon, apple or cherry. Loving you is so very sweet, sweet, sweet. How can it be such a piece of cake? And your smile is the icing. Loving you is a poem. Honey, you're my sugar.